beautiful people, wonderful people. I hope this finds you well. I hope this journey, this transition is still being kind to you all. I really wanted to do a energy update around the full moon. Just get my phone charged up. Around the full moon. But the full moon come and went, and there's this whole feeling that even though we found ourselves in a kind of pause, a cosmic pause as the innate calls it, there's still been this sense of so much movement happening and unraveling and unfolding, and so much of that has been inner movement, inner kind of change, and inner transformation. I know for myself, the last 3 months, there's been a huge transformation. And as my world begins to kind of, in a way, open back up, I look back on these last 3 months and they have been fundamentally life-changing in so many ways. I know that, going back those 3 months, suddenly, everything's put on hold, everything's put on pause, and I kind of knew that I needed to then, not try and, fight that or try and, kind of, I want to say salvage that at the time, with so much falling away and, kind of, find yourself in a position where, it is literally stopped. I felt the importance of just redirecting my time and my energy, picking up the spade and nurturing that huge vegetable garden of ours. And here we are at a point where we're almost self-sufficient in fresh produce, seasonal fresh produce, organic fresh produce at that as well, going forwards. And that's been an incredible positive upside from this huge event, and also many other changes that I kind of naturally just have worked with. And as we come through this, or as the world begins to open up, they are becoming very rooted and established and grounded in my world. But one thing that I really do feel the importance to share is that healing transformation is not always a pretty sight. There was this most incredible post that was shared on Instagram this week, saying to spiritual seekers that this whole kind of approach to love and light is not always the answer. And actually, for me, it kind of, at times I feel it almost as a throwaway comment, and I feel almost a spiritual snobbery about it. That's me being hugely honest. And the fact of the matter is that the world has been turned upside down. There are people that are going hungry. There are people that are losing jobs at a rate that we have never ever quite known. There are women going into hospital to give birth to children alone. People have died and are dying, and loved ones are not able to say goodbye. There is this kind of sense that people just kind of want to say, well, you just got to put light into it, and you just got to put positivity into it, and don't be so negative. But it's not about being negative, it's about kind of seeing the picture in truth and seeing it as it is. You can't you can't bypass what is happening. What is happening is happening, and yes, we can take our gaze elsewhere. But I think for us to truly heal what is happening in our lives and what is happening in the world, we need to meet it. We need to meet it. We need to embrace it. Only then can we fill it with light. You know, it's about meeting that darkness, about embracing that darkness, and then turning, transforming, nurturing it, filling it up with light. You know, and I think that is what is required, you know, for all us light workers. What is required is that we don't bypass what is happening, that we absolutely make it our duty of service to meet the raw, real pain in the world. You know, and for me, you know, this has been a niggle, to be honest with you, this has been a niggle that I felt for the last 2 to 3 years within the spiritual community, is that, you know, love and light gets bandied around, and if you start to dig into the raw pain and truth, you're kind of branded as being negative, or you're branded as being a doom merchant, or even irresponsible. And I think that is BS, and I think it's bypassing. I know it is. You know, there was a beautiful post that was placed up on Instagram inviting spiritual seekers to really, you know, connect with what is happening in the world. I'm going to go over to the PC, and I'm going to get it up, and we can then read it. That's what we're going to do. I'll be back in a moment. Hey, so here we are. Welcome back. So this is what I wrote about it, and then I'm going to read what was shared. Such a raw and truthful post. One of my wonderful Instagram friends, some of you may know, and follow her on Instagram. It's Dorothy Winter, Spirit Healer. I will put a link within this video. She shared it this morning, and to be honest, it was a relief to read it. This is what I went on to say. Healing is not always a pretty sight. Transformation isn't either, yet it can become a beautiful thing. I see these harsh truths in my work most days. Often I'm in the deep and sharp end of what is happening. And what is unfolding right now is not pretty. It's raw. And the love and light mentality and throwaway comment can often be patronising, and to be honest, feels like spiritual snobbery. Not by everyone, of course, yet it often feels like avoidance and bypassing. What is required is work on the ground. You can only ever heal trauma by meeting it first fully. Meet it with truth, raw truth, and then and only then can you fill it with love. And this is what Dorothy went on to write, and this is her post from here on. Because let's be straight, people are suffering. People have lost their jobs, financial security, or found themselves really penny pinching. People are grieving lost family members and friends while struggling with funeral arrangements under COVID. Pregnant women are having babies alone. Mental health problems are heightened, and the treatment for them are under-resourced. They have been for a while. Migrants are lost within countries and borders whilst they can't work and they try to go home. Refugees are still in camps, stranded. Genocides are still happening. protests, racism, murder, and political unrest. It's all happening. Bung this together with conspiracy theorists, vaccinations, the whole being woke, ascension quarter, people talking about good vibes only, love and light and all that jazz, and it's just like a bit like stop. Problem with parts of the spiritual community is that it is representing a dissociation from reality, just going on way up and seeing the light without seeing the dark. Sure, the earth frequency has changed, and it has. I can really feel that. There's a shift. It's happening. But let's not forget that we all have stuff going on, which is 3D. But it is significant to each and every one of us. We shouldn't be shameful of this. We must be spiritual active and present on earth. The point of being a light worker or healer is to provide a safe space for others to access their dark so they can live in a lighter way. And Doc goes on to say, for anyone reading this, I'm open for healing. I will hold a space for you. And then I put, stay true, keep shining, and a big thank you to Dot. And the reason being, I was so relieved to see that. It's how I felt about the situation, how I felt about what I see going on. This isn't completely a pretty time. It's a time where I think there is such a divide between those that are having a gentler experience and those that are having a harsher experience. And what we've gently got to do is try and hold the space for those that are having a harsher experience. I haven't felt the kind of energy requirement to do the energy update until now, and now I know and understand completely why. Many of you know the way that I work, and at the heart of it is making those raw truths very, very transparent, and that is the way that I will always work, is bringing that kind of raw pain up into the light. And there's no shortcuts, there's no way around it. All we can do is meet it, and that takes work and it takes grit, but it also takes community, and it takes safe spaces. Going forward, one of the things that I keep seeing is a fire pit with people sitting around a fire and gently together sharing where they are within a community, within a shared space, and together deep listening, together nurturing, together talking through this whole change that is unraveling at this time, and how healing that can be by being in a space that's been held and supported. People have gathered around fires since the beginning of time, and some of the most incredible healing and conversation can happen around a fire, and some of the most beautiful friendships can be fostered, created and found around a fire, and that's a special place. It's a space of tribe, it's a space of heart, it's a space of community. A fire warms you, it cooks food, and it also holds space. Until next time, heartfelt pleasure, and keep it real, and most importantly, keep shining.